Hi everybody, it's Patrick. You know, people ask me all the time about washing silk, and we have this idea that silk is this delicate, precious thing. And the reality is, silk is the second strongest fiber known to man. The only thing that's stronger are the teeth of these little snails in Europe. They're called limpets. And limpets' teeth, they only found this a couple of years ago, are actually stronger than silk. But that's it. So when you think of steel, when you think of diamonds, when you think of other things that are very strong, silk is stronger than that. So, you know, if you can wash a diamond, I mean, think you put a diamond ring on and you just, you know, you wash your hands and you wash the dishes and whatever, and you don't even think about it. Well, silk is stronger than that. So it stands to reason that you could wash it. The other thing people sometimes say to me is they don't want to wash their things that are precious. You know, they're things that are expensive or they're things that are valuable, because they're afraid they're going to ruin them. And that doesn't make any sense either. You know, a very expensive cashmere sweater and an inexpensive cashmere sweater are both cashmere. It's not that one is more fragile than the other. They're both cashmere. So why can't you wash it? So I thought it would be fun today to do something something that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. We'll say that. So we're going to wash silk. But not only are we going to wash silk, we're going to wash something very precious. We're going to wash an Hermès scarf. This happens to belong to a very good friend of mine, and it is absolutely beautiful. So we're going to, let me give myself some room. My little table's not very big. So this is an Hermès scarf, and this happens to be an Hermès box. And can you stand how much you love the color? It's like the best color on earth. I'm going to set it over because it's paper, so I don't want it to get wet. So this scarf is gorgeous. Here it is. Actually, I'll show it right side up. Here it is. It has scarabs on it, and the color. Oh, delish. Well, it has a couple of spots on it, so I'm going to scrub those first, and then I'm actually going to wash it. So we're going to scrub the spots just like we scrub the spots from anything. We're going to take a white cloth and put it under the stain. I happen to know, or I don't actually know, I think this is makeup. And I think it's makeup. So remember, the way we get out makeup is we use a little bit of vinegar and water. Vinegar and water, I didn't have that out. And we're going to scrub it up, we're going to spray it on. There we go. There we go. And then we're going to blot it. And then we're going to scrub it with soap and a brush. So, horsehair brush, which the great thing, remember about a horsehair brush, is that it's so soft that you can scrub anything when it's wet, and it gets even softer when it's wet. So we're going to scrub these little spots. I mean, I'm scrubbing over the color, and I'm telling you that because I'm going to show you something here in just a second. Okay, notice that I scrubbed over the pattern. It didn't run, it didn't bleed, it's fine. So then, once we scrub the spots, we're going to take a little bit of soap flakes, like a little pinch, and I will tell you, it's like you're feeding the fish. It's literally just a little pinch. We're going to take a little pinch, and we're going to dissolve it in the water. Okay, so I've dissolved the soap flakes in the water, and then we're just going to take the scarf and we're just going to plunge it in. I'll move it so I can work on it a little bit. My little table's kind of small for this. So I want you to see it's soaking wet. It's in soapy water. It's fine. There's no color bleed. There's nothing. It's just fine. So I'm washing it. I'm going to check my little spots to make sure that they rinsed out completely. I think they're gone because I can't find them. But I just want to double check. I see a little bit left. There's a little speck left right here. And you know, don't ever be afraid to go back. Like, you know, like, I mean, I went back in this and just to make I just wanted to make sure. There it went. There it went. All right. So I'm going to let this sit 3 or 4 minutes in the soapy water. You know, normally I don't think you need to soak, but I'm going to let this soak just a couple of minutes because I don't think it's ever been washed before. And I want it to sit in the water just a minute to make sure that, you know, everything's gone. When I take it out and I rinse it, it's perfect. So I'm going to let it soak. We'll come back to it in a minute and we'll go from there. Okay, so now I'm going to lift it out, and I'm not going to tell you I'm going to wring it. I'm going to squeeze it. There's a big difference. I'm pressing it with my hands. I'm not bending the fabric or squeezing the fabric. Okay, I'm going to set it out. I'm going to change this out, and I'm going to rinse it. Okay, so I didn't show you this. I should have. I dumped out the soapy water, and I've replaced it with clear. So the water is now completely clear. So I'm just going to take the scarf, and I'm going to put it back in, and I'm going to rinse it. The water now is cooler. It's you could really, I mean, you could use warm if you want. I don't like cold because I don't like putting my hands in cold water. So the water's cool. It could be warm if warm is easier for you. I just don't like putting my hands in cold water. And I'm just gonna swish it. You know, I'm just gonna kind of swish it around and give it a good rinse because I want to get all the soap out, because what's gonna bring back that beautiful luster of the silk is it being completely clean. All right, there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna do something because I want you to see it. So I'm gonna hold this up. Let me give it a fold. It's the big scarf, which that's kind of what makes these scarves so great, right? So I'm just gonna kind of let it drain a little. I just want to let it drain a little bit. I'm not gonna wring it. And I'm not going to wring it for a really funny reason. I'm going to hang it up and let it dry. There we go. There's water dripping out of it. I'm going to hang it up and let it dry. You could roll it into towel if you want. If you want to scrunch it back in your hands, you can. I find that the flatter you can let it dry, the easier it is to steam. So I'm going to hang this up, and I'm going to throw it across the drying rack, but I mean, you don't need to see that. You've seen a million drying racks, right? I'm going to throw it across the drying rack, and I'm going to let it dry. When it's dry, I'm going to steam it. But I find if you keep it sort of organized, we'll say, if you keep it folded or you keep it, if you hang it open, which is the best thing to do, it'll dry flatter and it makes it easier to steam. So I'm going to let this dry, then I'll come back and show you again. Okay, so we washed the scarf, and here it is. Look at it. It looks amazing. There it is right side up. Here it is. This is where the stains were, and they are completely gone. Just so you know, it took about 2.5 hours for it to dry. Now, there's ventilation because, of course, the air conditioning's on. So, but it took about 2.5 hours to dry, and here it is. And I just laid it across, so it's in pretty good shape, but part of the beauty of these is, you know, that perfect finish. So I want to show you how to either steam it or iron it to get that finish. And I know most of you don't have an iron like this. If you don't, you totally should, but you know. So I want to show you how, like just with whatever iron you have, this will do it. A trick to using or to ironing silk is to always use a pressing cloth, because there could be something on your iron, you know, a little bit of starch or something, and you don't starch silk. And if you don't have a steam generating iron, use a spray bottle, like a bottle of just water, and spray it on. But what you do is you just start ironing, and you just go across it. And if you notice, I'm working on the back side. You can work on the front, it doesn't matter. The only reason I work on the back side is I can see the shape better, because you don't want to press it out of shape. You want to keep, if you notice, the top, I've kept it square because you can stretch it. You sometimes notice that when you wear them and you take it off and the corners are all wonky. it goes right back. It's no big deal. It's just, since I washed this for somebody else, I want it to be perfect. Okay, completely smooth. I'm just going to move it to the next section. There we go. Give it just a gentle smooth out. I'll tell you, truthfully, if you're doing this with a Lorastar iron, you don't actually even have to have a pressing cloth, because the plate will keep it off the fabric. I just got in the habit before I ever had one, and so I just do it. All right, and so see how smooth it is? We're gonna go one more time. And you notice I'm gonna square up the edges here. Square that out. And as a pressing cloth, I always use a handkerchief. It's just a good size for me. You can use a cloth diaper. That's actually a great size. Or you can use like a flour sack dish towel. Anything thin enough that the steam goes through, but just to put a finish between the iron and the fabric. It's also really good when you do like navy blue wool pants. It keeps that shiny seam from occurring. All right, so we've ironed the whole scarf. So we'll flip it over, and look at that. It's perfect. I mean, it looks brand new. What I will tell you, we were commenting about this before we filmed, it's brighter. The color is actually brighter than it was when it started, and I don't think it was dirty. I mean, it had those spots, but I think it had just, over the course of time, just kind of oxidized, you know, which, I mean, that's something fabric does. It's just a naturally occurring thing. So even if you have one and it doesn't have any spots on it, you know, you might just go ahead and give it a wash just so that its finish is perfect. And so, in the box it goes. And it's as good as new. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but don't be afraid to wash your luxury items, and don't be afraid to wash your silk. It's easy. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.